Hey everybody. Too many buttons to do, but welcome to session 5. It's hard to believe that it's gone this fast. And next week's our last week, which is your pitch night. Remember, that's in person at the Virginia Highland Small Business Incubator, and I hope everyone is ready for that. Um, Before I turn it over, Nita or Kathy, if y'all want to take over with the introductions, but I want to just remind everybody, you have to keep your video on and stay muted until if you have a question. And I hope you have lots of questions at where you can find out where all the money's hidden by these folks. So, Kathy, Nita, whichever one wants to take over, do the introductions and let people go around to introduce themselves for our panelists.
So welcome to session 5, and you're almost home. You almost have your Tuesday nights back. Um, if everyone will just give a brief description of their name and, what their business is, then the folks who are presenting this session will be able to maybe get a good idea of uh, the businesses that are being represented tonight. So I'm going to start with order on my screen. Callie Jones is first.
Hi, I'm Callie Jones. I own the Glass Peacock in downtown Abington. We do a little bit of everything. We do repairs for glass. We sell the supplies. We teach classes. We do commissioned pieces, and we even rent out studio space for anyone that's wanting to learn a new hobby. Right.
Thank you. Janet Meadows.
Hi, I'm Janet Meadows, and I operate Mendota Expeditions. It's river tubing and outdoor adventures. We host teacher conferences out here, and it's for families to come out and tube, either a 1 mile run or 3 miles. And we're also hoping to support the Mendota Trail with some shuttling service this summer. Hopefully do that in the mornings and do the tubing in the afternoons, and maybe offer up a package deal for that.
Thank you, Janet. Megan Boardwine.
Hi, I'm Megan Boardwine. I opened the bookseller with my husband at the end of May of this past year. And we are the bookseller. Did I say that? Sorry, we're the bookseller. We're a used bookstore, and we also host literary events. And we actually have our first writing workshop this week on Thursday night. So, yay!
Very good. Thank you. Next is Becky Ramsey.
Hi, I'm Becky Ramsey, and I'm with Wendell Gardens Academy. And we believe it's time to take the kids home to the farm. Farm life is all about learning, exploring, creating, and problem solving. We know children learn by doing, so we're going to provide a play-based program involving hands-on, fun-filled experiences to empower our youngest learners and inspire a passion for learning.
Very good. Thank you. Angelina and Danny Charette. And I believe this is Danny, correct?
Angelina.
Angelina.
It's okay.
50-50 chance.
I know. It's okay though. I'm Angelina. So Danny is actually my mother. We had partnered together to do Platter and Pour. So we are a wine and charcuterie bar. We really focus on specialty meats, cheeses, and wine to kind of give Abingdon a new taste experience. That way we have stuff that people would normally go for, but you can also expand your horizons. We also partner with a lot of local people, so with even more, just to kind of give both locals and tourists a new dining experience in Abingdon.
Thank you. Next is Cassidy Case.
Hi, I'm Cassidy, and this is Gabe, and our focus is to bring holistic healthcare to Abingdon, Virginia, and give people a way to really contribute to their own health and bring holistic diagnostics to at a good price where everyone can, get treatment and a few things more.
Good. Thank you. Next, Jeremy Blackwell.
I'm Jeremy Blackwell. I have Epic Training Center and a gym here in town. We've been actually up and running for 2 weeks now. So it's a functional fitness class oriented type of gym. And it is good to see Leslie on this call. I dealt with Leslie just a few weeks ago and through the process. So good to be here.
Thank you. Next is John Wood.
Hello, my name is John Wood, and I'm bringing to the table a emporium type business where we bring in local artisans, makers, and vendors into one-stop shop for our local crowd, but also for our tourists to come in and get a little taste of Abingdon and leave happy, and hopefully return season after season and see what our different providers and vendors and artisans have up their sleeve year after year and season after season.
Jennifer Lowe.
Hey, I'm Jennifer Lowe, and I am the owner of Bluestone Hearing Care. And we just try to offer more affordable hearing health care in Southwest Virginia, but we're hoping to expand. So we're an existing business. We really want to add dizziness to our services that we provide.
Very good. Thank you. Scott Rowe.
Hello, I'm Scott Rowe. I'll be opening a Touch of Grace. It's going to be a Christian bookstore / inspirational store. We'll be carrying items just like if you're dealing with depression to help you get through the day. Just try to help you with the everyday motivational stuff.
Thank you, Scott. Emily, Nikki and Emily.
Hey, I'm Nikki. We're with Alley Cat Cafe. We are a social and event space that also doubles as a foster home for adoptable cats. Um, our goal and our purpose is kind of add something extra for residents and tourists in Abingdon to do while contributing to getting the feral cat population under control.
Very good. Kitsy Manuel.
Hey, I'm Kitsy Manuel, and I own Love and Light Specialty Boutique. We're a clothing boutique on Main Street in Abingdon. We currently house a few local vendors who make some things for us also. But mainly we carry clothes, accessories, hats, bags, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. And Cassie Rowe.
Hey everyone. I'm sorry that I'm like on the move, but unfortunately I can't stop. I'm pulled over in someone's driveway right now, doing this. But anyway, I own Shaked. We are a couture milkshake and baked good space. We want everyone to come and have a sweet treat and enjoy their time with us, and that's what we're doing. So obviously tomorrow is Valentine's Day and it's just crazy. So all over me. I'm sorry, but I deliver a gift basket and then go back and make a bunch of cookies and cinnamon rolls. So y'all might want to come see us tomorrow.
Thank you, Cassie. Okay, Sandy, do you want me to do the introductions or do you want to do them? Okay, we are lucky enough to have several folks with us tonight who can help you with the Where's the Money session. Leslie, will you pronounce your last name for me?
Yes, of course, it's Curley.
Curley. Okay. So Leslie Currle is with People Incorporated, and she's joined by her cohort, Justin Lewis, and he is with People Incorporated, and they'll tell you a little bit about the loans that they do. Then we have Kate Belcher with Skyline National Bank, and Kate is experienced in working with the Virginia Department of Business loan program, and she'll be able to talk to you a little bit about how that works with your own bank. So, without further ado, I think on my screen it's Leslie Currle, so I will let you begin.
I think Kate's going to start off.
Okay. I'm sorry.
And Kate, the floor or my screen is all yours.
Okay, thank you for having me again. I'm gonna keep it pretty brief just because I don't want my voice to go out. But as Kathy mentioned, my name is Kate Belcher, and I am with Skyline National Bank. I am their vice president and Abingdon area executive. So be looking out. We're looking for a brick and mortar in Abingdon that we hope to open soon to service our community. In the meantime, feel free to call me. I'm actively working our market and can meet with you wherever suits you to help you any way possible. My background, I previously worked at another institution and was the head of their government lending program. So specializing in SBA and USDA loans, along with conventional commercial debt. So the goal, as you will learn tonight, of SBA is to help you through this beginning stage or this expansion phase to grow your business to the point that you then can seek conventional financing. I will let, I guess, People Inc. dive into, because I know they have a slide that will help outline more, and then we can kind of tag team the different products that our various institutions can offer you. The good thing is that we can work together. We're not working against each other. We are good partners with each other to help you get the financial needs that you may need for your business.
Excellent. Thank you, Kate. Before I start the slides and go over, I did want to take a moment to introduce Justin. I know he's attended some of your sessions in person, but Justin is there in Abingdon as well, and he is a tremendous resource for you guys. He is our trainer and technical assistance provider. He has jumped off and just met with so many people in the Southwest area, just trying to help them with whatever their needs are for their business. And I think you're going to find not only is he very personable, but he is super duper helpful. So Justin, do you want to take a second just to introduce yourself to anyone who may not know you and kind of talk about some of the things you do there in Abingdon?
Sure. Thank you. As Leslie said, I introduced myself a few weeks ago at the one in person.
You're muted.
Yeah. Could you hear? Can everybody hear me? Okay. Yes. So I introduced myself. As she said, I'm the trainer and technical assistance specialist. So technical assistance in this setting means the execution of your business at any level. Sometimes that's helping people put together business plans, marketing plans, financials. And if it's not something that I can personally help you with, I have relationships with as many people as I can throughout the region to get you to the person that can help you. So that's my director, Stephanie, has been referring to it as a convener of resources. So I'm not an expert on every subject, but I know that people have needs so that you can get to running your business. And I can assist in any way. That might be one-on-one, that might be group, that might be in any number of ways. So I wanted to introduce myself because I'm down here in the Southwest region. So if you call into our office or walk into our office, it's very likely that I'd be interacting with you, and I'm happy to be here and happy to partake in this.
Thank you, Justin. And as he mentioned, he's in Abingdon. And just for a point of reference, I am in our northern office. My office is actually in Woodstock, and I cover the northern region. But Justin, and we have another fabulous lender that just came on board at People Inc. His name is Sam West. He's also in Abingdon, and we're looking to hire one more. So those are the faces you're going to see. Part of the reason that I'm also helping out, I just came back to People Inc. a few months ago, but I used to work here for several years previously, and found that I really, really missed the work and the connections and the things that we do with small businesses. So I'm excited to be back. I do have a couple slides that I was going to share just to keep myself on task. But as Kate mentioned, we are all about partnering and pooling resources. So the two of us are not competing against each other. We're just here to offer you an idea of what some of your resources are when it comes to financing. So tell me if you can see my screen. Do you see the People Inc. and my name? No.
Not
Okay.
yet. Did you
Well,
tap share screen on the bottom?
I did, but let me get back. Let's try that again. I apologize. I tapped share screen. Let's try it again. Oh, maybe I need to share this one. Now
we
can
have
you see
made
it?
we have made contact.
All right. All right. Now can you see it?
Yes.
So let me just tell you a little bit about People Incorporated. If you don't already know, People Incorporated has been a staple in Southwest, in particular, Southwest Virginia, since 1964. So we are coming up on our 60th anniversary. We do serve 16 cities and counties in Virginia as their designated community action agency. We have over 33 programs and services, employ over 270 people, and have a $34 million annual operating budget, which is not bad for a little community action agency that's been around for a long time. People Incorporated is what's considered a CDFI, which is a community development financial institution. So we are a private financial institution, but 100% dedicated to really assisting, doing more affordable lending and helping people that can't necessarily get traditional financing through their bank per se. And we'll talk about that in a minute as to where we kind of fill that gap. So as you can see on this map here, we are primarily in Southwest, then we skip a huge chunk in the middle of the state, and then up here in the northern region is the area that I cover. So Washington County, right on. We can help you any day, all day. So some of our lending programs, we do have programs for startup and for expansion. So we are an SBA microlender. We do those microloans up to $50,000, but we do also have other lending programs where we can do a small business loan up to $350,000. With our SBA microloans and any loans under $50,000, it is a 6-year term. Unless we're securing it with real estate as your collateral, then we can go up to 20 years on that. The interest rates, I think you'll find, are very reasonable. They start at 7.75. And one other note to mention, all of our loans must be collateralized. So we do not have any unsecured. We also do not offer any lines of credit. So it would be a one-time closed-end loan. We can talk about collateral in a minute. What are some of the application requirements? It's going to be pretty much what you would find anywhere you go to apply for a loan. Let me move this here. It's kind of in my way here. So we do have an application package, which we would provide to you. Some of the things that we ask for, again, they're pretty standard anywhere you go, but this is always helpful to know what kind of things would you need to provide. We're going to look for tax returns. If you have not yet filed a tax return on your business and your startup, then we'll just be looking for personal. Many of you, especially startups or even existing businesses, have other income that you use, such as a part-time job or a full-time job, or maybe your spouse is a partner in the business and they still work. So we're going to look for proof of that. A business plan with 2 years cash flow projections. So that is something you've probably been working on in your business challenge, I presume. But that is going to be something that we're going to want to see when you do come for financing. The other piece is a profit and loss statement. That's going to come into play if you've already been in business for some time. Balance sheet, bank statements, personal financial statements. So really what we're looking for is just your overall health as far as your finances and your business. One thing to note, we do not have a minimum credit score. So we are going to work with people with all different kinds of credit. Some of the things that we'll be looking for, obviously, if you owe any back taxes or you're delinquent on any federal debt, that would make you ineligible. But otherwise, if you've had a late payment here or there, or there's some other reason that your credit score is not perfect, I don't want you to fret about that. We will work with you. If it's a matter of needing kind of some assistance with that credit, Justin is a great person that we would refer you to be able to work with one-on-one. He is trained in consumer credit counseling and can help with some of those plans as well, if that's something that we can help you with. We want to help you get your overall credit picture together. So what are some of the things that we look for? First thing we're going to do is read your business plan. Does it make sense? Have you thought about all the different aspects of running your business? Marketing, where are you going to get your supplies? Who is your customer? There's just going to be a lot of things that we're looking for in that business plan to make sure it makes sense. And sometimes it may raise some questions, and we'll come back to you and say, hey, I didn't see this addressed in there. Have you thought about this? Or where were you thinking about inputting this? Cash flow is another one, and we will look at that. We've seen many cash flow projections where maybe something's missing altogether. So we'll kind of come back to you and ask you, hey, let's talk about this. And that's something I also want to make clear. We'll never just look at it and go, no, it doesn't make sense. They haven't thought of this, and just send you away. Our goal is to help you get to where you need to be. So we'll work with you on your business plan, on your cash flow projections, in order for, to help it make sense. So also we're going to look for demonstrated ability and commitment to manage and meet your outstanding credit responsibilities. And that's where the credit report comes in. But again, I don't want you to worry or think that, gosh, if my score is not, 700, that they're never going to give me a loan. We will look at all levels of credit. Collateral is a big one. We are going to look at the value and the life of the collateral. And when it comes to our business loans, we will accept many different things of collateral. Some of the most common are going to be equipment, inventory, vehicles. If you have vehicles that are unencumbered and have some equity in them. Another, real estate is always a good one. The other thing to think about is it doesn't necessarily have to be your collateral. So let's say you're bootstrapping this business and you just don't have, something else to offer. If you do have a family member or a good friend or a partner that's, believes in you as well and it says, I'll put this up for collateral for your loan. We can do that as well. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your collateral. They would just have to, sign some documents agreeing to that. So we're also going to look at your risk and investment. Sometimes, I've heard, well, I've given you everything I had, but I'm not giving you this, so we're going to look and see, well, what is your skin in the game? How much have you invested in this company? Are you just looking for us to take all the risk, or are you willing to take some risk on yourself? And then guarantor support. So if you have, a cosigner or co-applicant on there, we're going to look at the whole picture. So there's no one size fits all, like a checklist I could give you that this is all that needs to happen. That's one of the things that we're able to do as a CDFI is just kind of think outside the box a little bit and be a little creative in how we can help you. So some additional funding resources, commercial banks and credit unions. Kate can certainly speak to that. And one thing I want to mention in why we're such a good partner with commercial banks and credit unions, we're not competing with them. Really, we want you to go to your bank first. And especially if your credit is on par, you've got great collateral, they're going to have some great programs to help you. Where we step in is either to assist that bank. Maybe we partner together on some financing. They're able to do some, maybe we pick up the rest. But there are going to be a number of times where your bank may not be able to help you. And one of the biggest ways is if you're a startup. Many commercial lenders are not able to provide business loans unless you've been in business for at least 2 years and can show 2 years worth of tax returns. Where we do differ from that is we will help you if you're a startup and have not filed tax returns yet. That's usually the biggest one. And then the other one that may come into it is either if your collateral is not as sufficient as what they would expect, or your credit. So that's a big way that we can kind of help fill in that gap. Some other places that you can also check. A lot of people ask about grants. There's not a lot of them for small businesses. But grants.gov is a great place to go and just see if there might be something. Usually it's going to be more for specific industries or locations, but doesn't hurt to check. Local governments and Main Street programs, Sandy and Justin and you guys out there might be able to speak to more, like Washington County may have their own small business revolving loan fund. Many of the Main Street programs have it. They're relatively small, but it does not hurt to check, because I will tell you, I know in Page County where I am, there's 2 programs and both of them have 0% interest. So they don't usually cover a whole lot of money, but if you can get some funds through that, through a Main Street program or a local government EDA, that's a really great place to start as well. And there again, that's where we can kind of come in and help fill that gap. If you can only get a certain amount from them, and then we can try to help you with the rest. There are some other small business initiatives. This one right here is one, the Business Challenge. A lot of times there's, money or prize money attached to those. So keep your eye out for those. It's a great way to not only compete for some money, but really stay on top of your business pitch and learning everything you can about your business. This is the fact that you all are doing this program just speaks volumes about what you're doing for your business, because it's giving you a leg up on many of your competitors, that's for sure. I was going to say something else about the other programs, but it may come back to me in a Q&A. I think that was it. Oh, we did talk about Jason. I'm so sorry, Justin. I keep calling you Jason. We did talk about some of the other services we offer, and this is primarily what Justin does: one-on-one counseling, workshops, training, partnerships. We work very closely with the small business development centers in your area. They are a wonderful partner for us. They are really good at business plans, additional training. So definitely sign up for them and see what you can find. Keep abreast on what kind of workshops they may be offering. A lot of them are just online. Some of them you can just go in and listen to after the fact, but your small business development centers are fabulous partners for your small business. And that was it for my presentation, but I am more than happy to answer any questions. Or Kate, if you had stuff you wanted to add to that, I'm going to stop sharing.
Just to piggyback off of your kind of application needs, that's pretty much the same thing as you mentioned that you would need for a bank as well. One thing I will know, SBA does require your first 12 months, if you're doing projections, your first 12 months to be on a month-to-month basis. So that's something to keep in mind, just because if you're having to go back and do that, after, it might add some time to your application. And then just to reiterate how important the Small Business Development Center is, Cindy Fields in Abingdon is wonderful to work with. And we, I know, have passed deals back and forth through People Inc. and the bank that I work at with Cindy. And she is a great resource. She knows what we all need and can really help you with saving some time, because she can kind of jumpstart that needs list and package it for us to where then you're ready to present us with a complete package.
And that's a great point. We love working with Cindy because she, just like you said, Kate, she knows what each of the lenders need, and she will work tirelessly with the businesses to help you get to that point and submit what it is that she knows that we would be looking for. So she's a fantastic partner there for you in Washington County.
Okay, anybody have questions? This is your opportunity.
I was going to mention also kind of how, and this is where we're a little bit different too, how we even review and get your loan approved, because it is a little bit different. So when you do get to the point where you want to apply for funds, hopefully you're working with Justin or with Sam there in Abingdon, and it'll be a process, questions, answers, going back and forth. Well, once we have everything that we need, your business lender will do a write-up on everything involved with your request, and then it goes to a committee. So the committee is made up of our staff. So I would be on that committee, Justin, our lenders, our director, are all on this committee. And so we all hop on a Teams or Zoom call and review your loan, and lots of questions come up, and we get to know it pretty intimately. So you do have a whole team really rooting for you when we discuss that. And that's why your lender's going to ask so many questions too, because they can kind of already anticipate who's going to ask what or who's going to want to see this. But so anything 50,000 and under goes to our internal committee, which is just made up of staff. But we do those on demand. So it's not like it's a once a month thing or something like that. We just try to do 24, 48 hours so everyone has a chance to review your full package. Anything over 50,000 does go to an external committee, which is made up of board members. And so that one we do get scheduled. So sometimes that can add a couple of days. And they might want just a little bit more information, but that's kind of how our process goes.
And I just wanted to make a note that, one of the reasons why we have these guidelines and lay out this business challenge the way we have is basically exactly what Kate and Leslie and Justin have said. These are the requirements. If you're going out seeking financing, you're going to have these things. That's why in the business plan, you've got to have that executive summary. You've got to have your sales projections and all of those kind of things. And I remind you, if you haven't started your business plan, what the heck have you been doing? But, we have that resource folder that has a lot of templates, even down to sales projections, templates, and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually on you. We're trying to provide everything that you could possibly need, but just wanted to point that out.
Can I just piggyback off that a little bit? I can certainly tell when someone presents me a business plan if this is something that they have put, their blood, sweat, and tears in and they are ready to roll. Or I can tell if you dreamed this up one night and you came to me the next day. And I know Leslie mentioned owner's risk and, your investment into your business. If you're not willing to bet on yourself and invest in yourself, why would you expect me or a financial institution to do that? And so I think your input and your, pride for your business really shine through in that business plan. And it's definitely the best way to sell yourself to a financial institution to get their backing and they're wanting to help you succeed.
That's a really good point, because along those lines, we can also tell when it was just a copy and paste. If you just went out to the internet and found one that was similar to to your type of business, it does show through when you haven't necessarily thought out your specific business, where it's just a copy and paste to something similar. So as Kate mentioned, this is a business plan is not something you're going to have to write every year. You may want to make some tweaks to it, but this is kind of your big opportunity to put it all out on paper and show that you've done your homework, and it kind of helps you throughout to think about all those different things that you need to think about when you're starting a business. And then, in years following, then you can, go in and make some tweaks. But you definitely want to put as much effort in as you can from the beginning.
To speak from my position too, because I'm not looking specifically at the loan packets, business planning and especially putting together financial projections, the part that I find so valuable is at the end of it, yes, you have this executive document that any loan officer at a traditional bank or a CDFI or anywhere, the SBA, they're going to need that executive document. But the most valuable part for you as the entrepreneur is going through the process of writing it. The actual creation of it helps you understand your business better. And so if you really hold yourself to account and you don't just end gain to try to have a document that's in outline form, but actually work through that process, you'll get a very deep understanding of your business. You'll start to foresee challenges. You'll start to look at things realistically rather than aspirationally. A lot of times when we get cash flow projections, they're well-intentioned and they might be based on real numbers, but people will just flatline them across the year. January through December, they will just average their yearly cash flow over 12. And that's not how any business works. Every business is seasonal in some way. And from our perspective, we want to see the rise and fall of those numbers through the year. That actually shows deeper understanding of your business. It helps you look ahead. So if you're a lawn care business, your summers are going to look a lot different for the winter. So what do you need to do to look forward to that? We just looked at a loan packet on a restaurant. Restaurants are incredibly seasonal. And so that actually shows a deeper understanding of the business. And so the phrase I use all the time is we want to see reality, not perfection. Because the perfect version, I think somebody else referred to it as the copy and paste job, that doesn't really show a deep understanding. And so that's another aspect of the business plan. And then on the other side, the writing, the actual executive document, if you've done the process, is the easiest part. That's just translating your knowledge into words so that a loan officer can understand it. They can understand your story. And I know from our perspective, when we're on loan committee, those documents really do tell a story, and you can really get a sense of how the person's experience, their dedication, their game plan, and me as the technical assistance specialist, a lot of times I'm trying to poke holes in it because I want to know where they are. And ultimately, so I can assist them where needed, or we can identify those for the entrepreneur and say, hey, have you considered the limitations to marketing here? Is there a byline for this rent amount? Is that gonna mature at some point? We really want to poke those holes so that we can have as good of an understanding so that we're setting people up for success. So yeah, that's part of our experience on the business plan is not just a formality.
Sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Did I miss the answer to this? But does People Inc. help folks write their business plans when they get started and even though they're looking for a loan, does People Inc. help them with their business plan?
So we can, Kathy, that's a good question, but we find our partnership with the SBDC so valuable that we typically like to refer them to the SBDC for a starting point. That is 100%. I would almost venture to say their specialty. They're so good at it. And we also feel like it's important because we want business owners and entrepreneurs to understand all of their resources that they have available to them. It's not just a one-stop shop. So we like to do more, as Justin said, maybe once they get it, just try to find any, not poke holes in it to be mean, but just to maybe catch something that wasn't caught before. Certainly when it comes to from a financing perspective, when we're looking to lend money on that. But we would typically make that referral to Cindy at the Washington County SBDC, just so that we'd be on there with you, and then we work as a team because there's many clients where we have emails going, but where it's Cindy and one of us and the client, because we want to work together as a team.
Yeah, our role in that, Kathy, would be mostly assessing the business plan, because a lot of times the person coming in, they might not know where they are exactly in the process, but a lot of times they have at least a baseline business plan. Sometimes it's excellent, sometimes it's insufficient, and so we are always going to assess those because it does demonstrate how far along they are in the process. But ultimately, we can meet somebody anywhere, all the way from the brainstorming phase all the way through to when the loan is paid off. And I find myself in the conversations I have with small business owners and entrepreneurs, most of mine are as a sounding board. Most people need somebody to talk out loud with about strategy. A lot of people are at a plateau, or maybe they want to grow and they don't quite know how to get to that next level. A lot of times having a conversation to assess what's the reality, what are your needs, what are your aspirations. A lot of times that's where at least my role has been playing out.
We have a business plan outline, 2 of them, as a matter of fact, on the incubator's website. And I generally, if people don't have any business plan at all, I have asked them to print the business plan, or I've printed it for them and ask them to answer the questions as if they were taking a test. And then I can help them put the answers together. Because a lot of times people don't even understand exactly what needs to go in a business plan.
Hey, Leslie, Kate, I just want to piggyback on something that Justin, aka Jason, said about cash flow. I'm sure you've got some examples of how businesses have gotten into trouble because they simply were not able to keep control of their cash flow, and how that impacted their loans and the growth of their business. And I think it's good to share, maybe leave out the names to protect the innocent, but if there's something that you can share to help them better understand how important that cash flow is, I'd appreciate it.
I was just going to mention one thing, and I've seen this in a couple of businesses, and one more recently. They've actually been open for 7 years, but looking back, they've had a lot of struggles over that, and there are times where I'm kind of surprised they're still open. And they've done an amazing job, but one of the things that they have not done, looking back, is pace themselves. So they had all this vision of all this stuff they wanted to do, but that wasn't part of their initial cash flow projections. And instead of kind of following what they were going to do initially, I think they tried to get too big too quick because they were looking at their end game of all, that vision instead of pacing themselves along the way. Like, okay, once we reach this point, then we can open this part of the shop or bring on this product or something. And I think, I've seen that more than once. Where that's the other reason why your cash flow projections are helpful, because you can look at it over a span of 2 years and you can kind of factor in those changes you want to make and kind of get a better understanding of where your income needs to be at that point, or your expenses. And that is kind of a guide, kind of like a budget, so that's where I think that's really important. What about you, Kate?
Yes. So 3 points that I would like to make. The first one being is that there is a strong possibility that you will be in the red the first, maybe the second, maybe even the third year. I encourage you to do your cash flows through stabilization. And that's all going to be, varying depending on your business structure. So realizing that just because you aren't in the red this year or maybe even next year, it does not mean your business is not going to be successful and that you're not going to thrive. Second point, my 2 big things I see where businesses kind of get out of control with their cash flows are when too many people are living out of the business. All too often I've seen it starts with 1 or 2 people or maybe a couple. And then the next thing you know, 7 people are living out of it. And that is the quickest way to drain your cash flow, which will pull your business, success down. Additionally is haphazard debt. That I've had many borrowers that they need it, they're going to get it. No matter what I say, they're going to find it somehow. And there are some instances that probably is a necessity, but all too often it's not, and it's setting them up to drain their cash flow as well. I think in both of those instances, having a good banker is critical because 1, we can kind of see some of this before it happens. And then we can help guide you, whether that's through management of say you have a line of credit, we can manage the inflow and exflow of those funds to kind of get your business back on track. So I think having a good banker that you trust is a good place to start to help you to keep. Sorry, I muted myself. In rain.
Jennifer, I see you have your hand up.
I do. I just had a question about that actually, because I think we just celebrated, I think February 1st was 8 months. And so we had made a pact with ourselves that we were not going to take any money out for the first 6 months. So we didn't take a dime out of our business for the first 6 months. So we opened on June 1st. So that worked beautifully because it was the end of the year. So we are just now the past 2 months paying ourselves. So it's been a little bit of a relief. But I know that somebody had told me at one time that you should have 6 to 12 months of your expenses like put back somewhere, because I know a good friend of mine in Abingdon owned an audiology business, which she doesn't anymore. She sold it for 20, 30 years. And she said during COVID, that whole year for healthcare was really tough. You couldn't see patients, face to face. And so she was saying if she hadn't had that money put back, for those 3 to 6 months that there were no patients allowed to even walk through the door, that like a 20-year business, a business that was very well grounded, she said she didn't know if she would have made it. So do you recommend like more like 6 months put back, or do you recommend having like a whole year of what your expenses would be? Is that your goal, to have that put back in case you do have hard times? Or, nobody foresaw COVID coming, so, what's your recommendation on how much do you need back just to make sure that your business is sustainable?
I think that is almost it's going to vary for everyone. I love the 6 months. I actually just had this conversation with one of my clients because they, ended up having some contracts that they were dependent on being taken back at the end of the year. Now, I do think those are pushed to this year, so it will all shake out, but that left them in a place very much like your audiologist friend where they were in a pickle and they didn't have that. And so that is our goal for the next probably 2 years to try to build up kind of a reserve. And I think you have to give yourself some grace. That's not going to happen overnight. But I think picking a number in your head and growing to that. And so maybe right now it's 3 months. And then once you get to 3 months, move it to 6 months. And kind of keep that a moving target to where you do have that reserve should anything happen. That will also help you, down the road if, say, you want to expand or you want to buy another office. That gives you an additional chunk of change that maybe you back it down to that 3-month reserve and now you have a down payment for your building. So I think it's beneficial not just for kind of expenses, but also for kind of planning for the future.
And how do you know when you're ready for that? Like there's a piece of equipment that we could use right now. I mean, we have one, but we could use a new one. And so I've been like debating it back and forth. Like, do we have enough funds for it? Or I feel like we do, but how do I know if I do? Like I sometimes struggle with like those types of decisions, or even like we're really wanting to add this balance thing on. But Leslie was just saying, and I really feel like Leslie, you were speaking to me when she was saying, like, pace yourself. Like you don't have to build your whole business, in a year. You have these goals. And so how do you know by looking at your financials? I mean, I guess that's a question for like you, your banker, your accountant, and saying when we are ready to make that, next step. Like, is there any kind of, I guess, magic number or just, and then, we had a gentleman at the very first of this class that was like, be willing to take risk. So, I mean, it's just kind of a hard decision,
And, Jennifer, I think part of that is if you look at the numbers, for that piece of equipment, is it going to generate more income for you? Is it going to be what are the numbers going to look like with even subtracting out the debt load if you're borrowing money for that per se, because maybe getting that piece of equipment financed over time might help rather than just pulling all your reserves out. But then also once you subtract out that debt, like, is it going to increase your revenue enough to even cover the service of that debt? I mean, that could be a good gauge for you, rather than just pulling all of your reserves out. And I will commend you if you have built that number of reserves. I mean, that's the same that economists will tell you that you should have for your personal finances, that you should always have 3 to 6 months in reserves. And sadly, I think most Americans are, I think, I don't know the current percentage, but it is still a huge percentage of Americans that are paycheck to paycheck. So just even having a couple of months of reserves, I definitely commend you for being cognizant of that and trying to think through any purchases, because that's in those examples I was giving was definitely the opposite. I don't think there was a lot of thought into what they were off building new buildings and getting, goats and pigs and, all kinds of, and then building out things for them and opening this shop and this, without really thinking. I think their thought was, well, if I build it, it will come, without doing a lot of research as to what was going to help offset that expense. So I think, if you can ask yourself that question, will that piece of equipment help with your revenue, then certainly it may make sense at this point once you've now had, a good solid 6-8 months under your belt.
Thank you.
Two principles that occur to me in this conversation. One of them is the value cost proposition, that a lot of times, and this goes to any purchase, that we focus exclusively on the cost of something. That's the bottom line number. But there is also, in that equation, is the value. So one of the most basic examples of that is you go to the store and you need a new toaster. And if you buy the one that is the cheapest cost, it might be cheap, it might break in a month, and you've now had to buy it twice. And so the cost of that actually decreased the value, as opposed to buying the one that was $5 more and it lasted you 10 years. The value of the $5 more expensive toaster was higher. Does that make sense? And so you paid a small fraction more at the start to invest in something that had a much bigger payoff. That occurs to me as an example of your question, and Leslie touched on this, the value of your growth. Is it going to justify the cost of the money? So if you're getting a loan, say that loan is 7.75%, that's all the cost of the money, but are you reaching a new customer segment? Are you able to, do you generate more revenue out of each interaction with your clients? Like there's value to calculate in other than just the cost of the equipment. So that's one. And then the other one is the principle of hire when it hurts. And so meaning when you grow, if you're a small business and you're running things, in kind of a small operation, every time you want to expand, you want to make sure you've exhausted every possibility before you make that choice. So whether that's hiring a person, whether that's choosing, it sounds like the example Leslie's sharing of these people, they didn't exhaust every option before choosing to leap into something new. And so if you can do it at a smaller location that costs a lot less before you have to pay for the more expensive place that's in the more expensive building that's larger, just hire when it hurts, exhaust every possibility. Can you do it in any way that doesn't cost you more? And then when you absolutely cannot do it, that's the time that it's like, okay, we've officially grown to, and you'll know that based off of your circumstance and with your advisors, obviously, accounting and business advisors and everything.
I have a question on loans. Is it a all or nothing, or is it? I know you said you would work with us. Is it okay? I can't give you this much, but we would be willing to do this much to try to help you out in some way, because something is better than nothing. And would you, if you do get a lesser amount than you're asking for, do you curtail your business to what you're provided, or do you keep the same goal and keep trying for that amount? If that makes sense.
It does make sense, and I'm sure Kate can answer that as well. But I will tell you, we had someone recently who asked for, I'm just going to throw out some numbers here just for sake of ease, but let's say it was 20,000. And they did give us a list of all the things that they had intended to do with the loan funds. For a couple of reasons, we weren't able to do the full request, but we did go back and say, well, wait a minute. What if we did this lower amount? We went through the list of the things that they needed the money for, and we knew which ones were much more urgent than not. So we did go through and say, listen, we can't do this amount, but we can do this to help you specifically with these items. So yes, it's never an all or nothing kind of thing. And that's why the communication is so important too. And for us to have conversations with you so that we can really understand not only your business, but what your goals are, so that we can say, listen, we can't do this now, but here's what we can do. And let's say 6 months, a year from now, you've paid these on time. You should be seeing this amount of growth. You can come back and reapply for this additional amount at that time. So definitely it's not an all or nothing.
Well, would that change like the interest amount? So say if you do get a lower amount because of, let's say, poor credit, but less than perfect, will that give you an increased interest amount because you're still end up paying more? Or will that interest be whether you get the 20,000 or 5,000, for instance?
Not currently, right at the moment, and that's not going to be forever, but ours, we kind of have one rate for our business loans, but that will be changing at some point in the future. But no, I mean, what it would mean is it may change the terms. So if you're, getting 10,000 versus 30,000, it might be for a slightly shorter term. But your payments would be lower because it would be based on the amount that we were able to loan you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will say in my world, it could change your interest rate. So say you needed equipment and working capital. And at this time we can't do the working capital, but we can do the equipment. Those have separate interest rates, especially on the conventional side. And so potentially it could impact your interest rate and be lower, with a fixed asset versus, basically an unsecured debt. But it's not going to be any like earth shattering changes.
Would you combine those two together or as under one payment, or if you can do one and not the other, or you said there would be those two separate things?
Yeah, so SBA actually allows you to couple everything together, which is something a little different than typically a conventional, loans would do. And so in that instance, it could be coupled together and your term be the same, or you may be able to do a longer term because less percentage of it is unsecured. So it may have a little to do with that. But that's more on the SBA side where they do allow you to kind of package everything up into one loan.
Thank you.
And John, for us, because for that amount, primarily it's going to be an SBA microloan. Yes, it would be all together.
I have kind of an off the wall question, but does People Inc. have a way for you to pay online?
Not currently, but we're working on it.
Okay. Okay.
We are
Yeah.
working on getting into the current century, but it's coming. It's coming.
It's totally worth the interest rate. So I mean it's awesome. We love People's Inc. But I was just wondering, I was like, because we're kind of close to you guys in proximity, where we are. So my husband just like during lunchtime will run the payment down there. So that's really funny. And he asked me one day and I was like, I don't know. I'll ask. So,
it's coming. It's coming. I promise.
Good.
Did you pay her to say that she was a customer?
I did not. We've got a couple on here, so it's really exciting to see that. To see this at work. And
it was the best interest rate of any small business loan. Like it was like way better than any other. So
awesome.
Easy to do. He brought all the paperwork to us. To our office one afternoon. I mean, we emailed him all the paperwork he needed and he came by. I mean, it was done right here in our office. I get nervous going into places, like a bank or something. So sometimes I get nervous.
Thank you, Jeremy, for correcting me on one thing. And when you say pay online, I'm thinking in terms of you go to a website and you pay it when you want, but you can do ACH. Thank you for pointing that out. So if you wanted to set up auto drafts for your payment, you may do that. But if you're looking for a way to just go on demand and pay online, we do not currently have that feature.
Okay. Can we just go by the office and do that?
To set up the ACH?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're talking, Leslie and I aren't here to exclusively talk about People Incorporated. We just both happen to work for People Incorporated. A lot of times, and this is something that we're working toward, we, especially under our new director in our department, is looking to find creative ways to partner with all of the action agencies in the various regions, because we are the CDFI that services this region, but there are action agencies all over the place. And we serve over 40 counties in the state. Leslie showed you the graphic in the PowerPoint. And so getting creative with working with other organizations, whether there are, the not small town, but like Main Street development programs, where if we can partner with them to a lot of times I know Tanya Triplett, who I don't know if she's on this call or not, but she's one of the organizers of this business challenge. She was telling me a few weeks ago that Abingdon has these enterprise zones. And so there are certain geographic locations in Abingdon that qualify for certain monies. And so that's not something we would necessarily know about, but that you as entrepreneurs, you have to go digging and finding really specific things about that. There are a lot of facade funding programs for when places are trying to develop the street appeal of a certain district, and where they'll do certain amounts or reimbursements for if you've invested in the external facade of your business. So there are lots of avenues to explore, but they vary greatly. Great places to look are your local departments of economic development, which Tanya Triplett is the director of economic development for Abingdon, but every town has one. So whether it's the Department of Tourism or economic development or economic develop authorities, action agencies like People Incorporated, community banks, a lot of those places you can find really creative solutions. And then you as the entrepreneur can start to think outside the box for yourself about, okay, well, this money can come from here. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing proposition as far as I go and I get the money or I can't do it. There might be a varied approach. I think I heard it referred to in one of the trainings I took as your funding portfolio, because there might be some funds that you put in, some funds you get from a partner, or friends and family might want to invest in the business, and then you go and get the remainder from a bank or a CDFI or a grant or whatever.
So just to keep people from looking for these facade grants and enterprise zone grants, those are only available to the property owner. They are not available to somebody that rents.
Thank you, Kat. Yeah, I was mostly using that as an example of the kinds of varied things. So thank you, Kathy.
And I would say, Kate and Leslie, you would probably agree that if you're watching TV late at night and you see that someone's got free money out there, it's not really free, and to be careful for the wolf in sheepskin that read between the lines. Sometimes I know in my years and 34 years of doing economic and community development, when someone looking for free money, that's always a negative on my part, because there's no such thing to get something for nothing. But you also could have some hidden things, especially with grants, that if you read between the lines, there's so much that can be involved in it that you end up, it's not such free money or easy money to get.
Well, when I think of grants, it would be, programs like Business Challenges or Virginia Tourism and their marketing grants, things like that. But as Sandy said, there's definitely a free money grant is far and few between. And if you did find one, definitely do your homework and read. But do go to grants.gov as a place to start to just kind of see what kind of things are out there.
Any other questions?
So give me, Kate, or give us some examples of when the SBA will loan money, examples of, what they are looking for in a loan.
Sure. So SBA's biggest draw is that you have to check a box of credit elsewhere. That means you can't come to me conventionally and receive that money. And there are various reasons. The easiest one, and some that most of you may fit into, is the startup. That is a sure way to know you're eligible, potentially eligible for SBA financing, because SBA backs the bank loan and guarantees that debt. So if you default, then they will pay us a percentage of that debt back for us to lend money for these various projects. The two that I saw that I used the most were expansions and startups. Those are the two hardest ones to do. Startups being number one by leaps and bounds. But with that, we have done startups that they just needed working capital, or maybe they just need inventory or equipment, or they need a group of all three, and then some working capital to get them through the first 6-9 months, whether that be to make some interest payments until they do start seeing revenue generated. They also have programs to purchase real estate. They have kind of participation loans where they take half and we take half. That has proven to be very beneficial for a lot of small businesses because the SBA portion, that's actually the 504 loan, the SBA portion is fixed for 15, 20, or 25 years. And in all but just a few months in my tenure working with SBA, those rates have been lower than your conventional rates. So that helps your cash flow ultimately. And you get that fixed for a long period of time. So SBA can truly help you with anything that you may need. They do require personal guarantees, and they do want injections, whether that be assets or a cash down payment. But the good thing is they also lower that. Their minimum is 10%. In most cases, which is a lot better than 20 or 25 that you may see at a conventional bank. So they're helping you to lower the barriers to entry to get the financing that you need for your business.
So a question that somebody texted to me is, are there loans with more leverage or opportunity for women-owned business, women and minority-owned business?
Historically, SBA has done certain programs. To the best of my knowledge, there's not one right now. Where I see more of that is on kind of the grant side and or the seeking contracts. If you are a business that works with state or federal government or local government, that there are benefits for minority and women-owned businesses in seeking those contracts and being able to win those bids.
Okay, thank you. Folks, do you have any more questions? Tonight's the night to ask questions, because those financial projections are a big part of what the judges look at on your business plans.
I was just going to say that for the SBA, like I went and met with Cindy, and she was extremely helpful for my setting up my LLC. Like she completely, like I had no clue how to do that. So that was amazing in itself. If you don't know like how everything has to be filed, and so they help you do that too. We weren't able to do funding through them, which was, I mean, not their fault, but it was just so helpful for her. She had the attorney, she had everybody in line for us to it was just seamless. It took her literally a week, maybe from beginning to end, to help us set that up. So if anybody's doing an LLC and you have questions, that was so great. That was a great service that I didn't even know existed until I took this class. So it was great.
Jennifer, are you talking about Cindy Fields?
Fields, yeah, with the SBA. I just went up there to meet with her. She went through also like the class that you guys just had with the different, types of LLCs and stuff. And then she kind of connected us with the attorney that did that. And if I'm not mistaken, they paid for that for us. So they paid the initial cost for us to set up an LLC, and just kind of walked us through that process, because I had no clue like where to even begin with it. I tried to research it myself online, and it was just, I'm not a business minded person, really, truly. I was a chemistry teacher for 15 years before this. So it just, if you have questions more in depth about setting up the LLC or where to even start, they filed all of our paperwork with the state, even our employee, employment commission stuff. But she helped us set up every bit of that. And I want to say, I'm almost positive, because it was almost a year ago, that we didn't pay any money for it. So it was pretty awesome.
Just to be clear, it's not the SBA. That would be Carl Knoblich. It's the Small Business Development Center And her office is at Virginia Highlands Community College.
Yes.
Correct?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes. I
That's
had those
okay.
confused. Sorry.
No,
I would encourage. I would encourage everyone to seek out local help for that. I have a client and friend that ended up using an online service for that. Initially, it cost her an arm and a leg, and when it came time to renew, I mean, all but almost had to start over just because it was so intricate. They're trying to hook, line, and sinker you for life, basically, to use that. When a lot of this can be done with some assistance of local people that can save you time and money.
And
That
that's why.
also.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Sandy.
I was just going to say that's why we provided a mentor list of folks, different organizations like Cindy Fields and Carl Noblick and Gary McGow and all the others that can help you. So if you get stuck, don't just stop. Reach out to some of us, and if we don't know the answer, we definitely know somebody that can help you. I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
Well, and actually what you said, what I was saying, I was echoing that doing something like that, reaching out to the SBDC, or like Kate mentioned earlier in the discussion about having a really trusted banker, not just a bank, but a banker, a relationship with somebody, is also, it helps you plug into that ecosystem so that you can find that assistance when you need it. And so they are going to know where there are funding opportunities, trusted professional expertise, technical assistance, and they can, plugging into really, really already knowledgeable and trusted plugged in people like Sandy and Kathy and these great people, they're going to know who to refer you to. And so that will help you when you need it, because you might not need it for a year.
And we don't shut the door after this event is over, the last session next week. We're here for the long haul, and that's why we've been doing this is our 11th year, and why we do the new knowledge series every other week is to continue that collaboration and to help you get the resources and the training that you need, because your success is our success when we go out and looking for sponsors for this program. Any other questions? I just want to remind everybody that next week's the pitch night. You have 8 minutes to pitch your business idea. If you have and are planning to do a PowerPoint or anything, I would suggest, if you have time, to go by the incubator and test it. Be sure you bring it on a flash drive and to make sure everything works, because we have been doing this long enough that technology can sometimes not be ready, and that just makes it for a long night for everybody. And also, next Wednesday by 5 o'clock, you have to submit electronically your business plan in it. And remember, no more than 20 pages. That's the limit. And if you can't say it in 20 pages, it must be a lie. It doesn't exist. But back to the pitch night. One of the things that we need to do tonight is to go in order of the pitches where they'll be presented next week. So does anybody want to volunteer to be number one?
I will.
Kitsy, great, thank you. Do I have two?
Janet.
Okay, Janet. Nina, are you keeping a list? Okay, 3.
I'll do 3.
Okay, Casey. 4.
I can go 4.
Oh, Megan.
Sure.
Oh, Jeremy, I see your hands up. Were you volunteering to go next? Okay, I'll make you 5. 6. Becky, thank you. And 7.
John.
Angelina?
John.
Wait.
I'll take lucky
John
number 7.
races.
Okay.
Lucky 7.
Okay. Cassidy, 8. And Jennifer, 9. Ten. Nikki. 11. Oh,
Angelina.
12. 12. Callie, did you have your hand up? Callie, okay. So, Scott, I guess that's you. You gonna save the best for last? Is that what we're saying? And just a reminder, how this works is that we'll have a clock or a timer. And as I said, you have 8 minutes. That please come prepared. If you have handouts, that you can hurry and put everything together. And I again encourage you to go by the incubator, as Kathy's vehicle will say, and get test out to make sure it works, or come early and to make sure that everything works. And you don't have to do a PowerPoint, by the way. You can do. We've had someone singing before with a group. We've had someone cooking. We've had a variety. This is your 8 minutes to shine and to tell the story about your business to a group of judges. And they have a judging sheet that will judge you on a variety of things. And these judges are going to be different from your business plan judges. So to keep everything separate, yes, Justin, you can come. This is going to be in person, by the way, next week. But then hopefully, and then in a week after we receive your business plans and our judges review that, then we'll have some idea of the scoring. And then the announcement will be, we'll have the chamber breakfast on March the 21st. Is that correct, Nita?
That is correct.
And Jean Gallagher at the incubator said to call first to schedule a time to test out your equipment, and that number is 276-492-2062. For a good time, call 276-492-2062. And team, did I forget anything?
Other than just to practice, even if you want to come to the incubator and you know, stand there and, I don't know, get one of us to come in to hear your pitch, you're going to be more nervous than you think, and you want to get all your information out in 8 minutes. So make sure you tell the who, where, what, when, why, and how in 8 minutes. And it's pretty difficult to get it all out in that little bit of time. So practice, practice, practice.
And also on that folder online that I shared is a document that has a list of all the past business challenges and the links that you could go to watch those if you want to kind of get an idea of what to do, and definitely not what to do. And one of my pet peeves, just to give you, which I won't be a judge, is don't read it off. That is so aggravating to me.
Hey, I have a question. Is there like a minimum time on your pitch?
Yes, 8 minutes.
Well, no, like, okay, so 8 minutes is the maximum, but is there a minimum? Like, it has to be at least so long, or?
It's your 8 minutes. You do with it what you want. If it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, but just kind of like, go back to what Kate was mentioning. She can tell if somebody put a lot of work into their business plan, and that's the same way with your pitch.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, you have live judges, so you know that first impression needs to be a good one.
Yeah, they're not AI. They're live.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
What are the hours for the business incubator? Like, what times could we come to practice if we wanted to?
So Jean is there by 8:30, and we're there till 5 every day except Friday. We try to close about 4:30 on Fridays.
Okay, so 8:30 to 5, Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
Okay.
Now make sure you call first, because if I'm in a meeting or if Jean's out to lunch or I'm out to lunch, there's only two of us. So, it's a pretty it's a pretty tight ship down there.
Okay.
And I will say too, if you want to just do a Zoom call and you want to practice, and if I could work it on my schedule, rest of this week or Monday, I'm happy to help you. This isn't my first rodeo, but our objective is to give you all the tools and the help that you need. And to me, this is the most fun part of the whole challenge. It's not only learning about each one of you and getting to know you over the 6 weeks is what you do at the pitch, because I'm sure Kate and Leslie and Justin, and I'm going to call him Jason because you've got me doing that, but they can tell you how important that is when you go to seeking financing, or if you're just at a chamber event and you have an opportunity to give your elevator pitch. That is so critical to growing your business. And that's why we do this pitch contest.
And I forgot, Jean's correct. We're not open Monday because it's President's Day, right? Nita, are you closed? So it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday. No, wait.
No, Tuesday's the event.
Right. So it'd have to be sometime the rest of this week or Monday next week, or Tuesday day next week. But all of us are willing to listen to your pitch. We'll sit in there, and if you come to the incubator, we might have some questions or suggestions about making your pitch better. Okay, you didn't tell us this, or what about that? We're happy to help.
Okay.
All right, so
Kate, Leslie,
you're on the home stretch.
Kate, Leslie, Justin, thanks so much for your time. One of the things that we're very blessed with this whole program is we have some of the best support professionals and organizations to support this program, and that's why we keep doing it. So thank you. We couldn't do it without you.
Hey, thanks for having us. And is there any way we can watch the pitch night? Because now I'm totally invested.
It will be recorded. I won't do it live, but and it may be late that night or early the next morning before I get it up on our YouTube channel and on our. We have a Facebook page, Washington County Business Challenge, but hopefully we can have it up.
Well, I wish each and every one of you the best of luck. You're in good hands here with Sandy and all of her resource partners. Fantastic.
And we're not all state, but we're here to help you. Is that Gosh, I'm dating myself. Thanks, everybody. Anybody have any other questions?
Hey, Sandy, would you care to share my contact information with everyone? And by all means, it doesn't have to be a loan-related question. If you have questions on your business plan or your projections, cash flow, whatever it may be, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to help you, or I'm happy to help you in any way possible. And I know Leslie and Justin feel the same way.
I sure will. I'll send it with them, but I won't put it in the men's room. Put it on the wall.
Any other questions? A guest? Like my husband kind of wanted to come. Can he come to pitch night? I couldn't remember.
Yeah, he has to be really quiet.
Okay.
And for those that have, you're also, if you want to bring samples and to share with the judges, we've had that before too.
Are you saying you need hearing aids?
I was gonna say that's directed toward Cassie, isn't it?
I know. I feel like she's talking to me with
No,
that one. I feel like
that's no, not necessarily.
I've been sitting there watching her bake, and I'm like, I'm about to die over here, you know?
my fingers, did you?
Angelina, do you have a question?
Yeah, so I just had a for my mother and I. So I believe she relayed to me that since we were partnering together on the business, we could pitch together. Is that true, or is that one of us needs to be the one to do it?
That's up to you.
I think she had spoken to you, so we're allowed to do it together.
Yeah. Again, it's your 8 minutes.
Okay.
I wouldn't suggest.
Okay, I just wanted to
a
make sure
whole
in advance
Broadway
so that we
show.
weren't thrown off.
So the
Well, I just
rule
wanted
of
to make sure so
thumb
we weren't thrown off
is
because it would have been horrifying for us if we were going to do it together and then only one of us could go up. So I just wanted to make sure.
no. The rule of thumb is you can have 2 or 3 people that are partners in one business. You just can't have 2 or 3 people representing 2 or 3 businesses.
John, do you have a question?
Okay, that clears up my question. Thank you, guys.
I was just going to say that Jen's husband, if he comes and watches, he may end up doing a pitch next year because, as you remember, I came with Kitsy last year to support her, and here I am doing my own. So
There's something in the water at the incubator. I don't know what it is, but that's what it's all about.
Excuse me, I was here in 2019, and now Scott's here. So there you
exactly,
go.
that's true.
Okay, we rest our case. I should have went into law.
So the last thing that I need to ask for is, Justin, the next time you come to the incubator, will you bring some new People Inc. business cards? Because I send a lot of people down there, and I haven't had any cards since Jeremy left.
Yeah.
And so if you could bring me some cards, that'd be great.
Yes, we have cards, and we also have we've worked up some new little flyers, those little kind of like 4x9 size flyers about our business services in particular. So yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, guys, everybody, don't be nervous and be prepared.
Okay. Have a good evening, everybody. Keep
Thank
hope
you.
alive. Bye-bye.
Great job. Good luck, everybody.
Thanks.